past, would want to see those records of her, of this individual coming to give a speech on mental health and telling her story. And I think that's important for Canadians to know exactly where the Conservative Party of Canada is writing motions down and where they're going with them. Because if that's where we've gone into, I'm really sorry to see that. So with that, Chair, I will stop at this time and pass the floor, or cede the floor on to the next honorable colleague there. Thank you very much, Chair. Thank you, colleagues.
Sorry about that, folks. I got my buttons mixed up, my video and my audio. Thank you, Mr. Sorbera. And Mr. Sorbera, we ask you to pass along the committee's sympathies to the family that lost a loved one you're going to visit. And I'd also like to point out to respect my 4 venerable members of Parliament, other than myself, for Hamilton, 2 Liberal, 2 NDP, that there are 5 representatives of Hamilton, not 4. Just so you know for future, Mr. Sorbera. And now on to Mr. Barrett.
I do apologize for that oversight, Chair. Please forgive me on that one. Apologize.
No need to request forgiveness on that. So all good, Mr.
Well,
Barrett.
he either forgot Bob or Philomena, so we'll have to go to the tape for that.
All right, thanks very much, Chair. We're 3.5 hours into the latest prorogation, continuation, cover-up, filibuster, and the Finance Committee has been filibustered since the 8th of this month. If you check the calendar, everyone, it's the 15th. So that committee was suspended mid-filibuster, and it's resumed, and so it's been going on for a ridiculous amount of time. And into our 3rd meeting here, the same is true. And it's time to see what's in the documents. It's time to end the cover-up. And I would swear that some of the colleagues on the other side of the aisle get paid every time they say my name. So if you get a quarter every time you say my name, there'd be big checks getting cashed. So
point of order.
Yes, point of order.
I just wanted to say that we feel the same way every time the Mr. Barrett says cover up.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Drawn, on a point of order, but go ahead, Mr. Barrett.
On the subject of the cover-up by Mr. Drew and Mr. Dong. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, Mr. Barrett. Mr. Dong.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to remind the committee members that we are not in camera. This conversation is being watched by the general public, who may have different various levels of understanding of proceeding here. So something that we may think it's a joke, or we take it as a joke, other people may not see it that way. So just I would caution members, be very careful on the choice of words. Thank you, Chair.
Point of order.
Thank you, Mr. Dong. Wise words, Mr. Housefather.
Yeah, yes, Mr. Chairman. While I do not believe necessarily the word cover up or the general use of the word cover up is unparliamentary, when somebody says cover up by Mr. Drewen or cover up by Mr. Dong, I do believe that is unparliamentary as the chairman of the committee, and I believe you should ask the member not to make those accusations of honorable members.
Thank you, Mr. Housefather. I did address the committee earlier in regards to impugning someone's actions. I don't know whether criticizing actions or consequences would be unparliamentary, but certainly impugning those, calling into question the motive of those actions, I think would be unparliamentary. So I just want to caution all members in that regard that we don't know what the motives of any individual is when they act, or the consequence of it. So, or when they act, or the subsequent consequence. So let's just keep it to the action and the consequence. Mr. Barrett.
Well, the action of a multi-day filibuster by members of the government is a government-led cover-up, Mr. Chair. And so I'll leave it to members to govern themselves accordingly. And I think that into our third day of these proceedings, that to Mr. Dong's point on, you know, people watching and not having an understanding of what's going on, I think they're getting the picture very clearly that 3 days into this meeting, that I
didn't say they don't have the understanding of what's going on. Don't put words in my mouth, please, Mr. Barrett.
Okay, colleagues, please address the chair when you're going to make a comment, and go ahead, Mr. Barrett.
So to Mr. Dong's point, when he said that Canadians who are watching might not know what's going on, that they're getting a very clear picture of what's going on when we're into a multi-day filibuster by these members. And you know, we heard over and over and over again about going after individuals. We're not going after individuals. We're looking to verify information that has been presented to parliamentary committees, and we've seen wild inconsistencies between testimony by ministers and documents that weren't redacted. And so seeing information unredacted in the way it was ordered, and seeing the information to verify testimony that has otherwise been demonstrated to be not consistent with the truth on a number of occasions is important work for this committee to do if we're going to be able to, if Canadians are going to be able to trust the work and trust the programs implemented by the Government of Canada. So, Chair, it's certainly high time for this to come to a vote, but we'll look forward to many more hours, I think, of hydration and pontificating and texts readily available to folks read into the record. So, Chair, I'd like you to please poll the committee, if you could, and see if we can take this opportunity to bring it to a vote. Thank you, Chair.
Sorry about that. Mixed up buttons again. Is that Mr. Barrett? I don't see any consensus. Already have shaking heads already.
I think it's a great idea. It's a great idea.
Yeah, we have a few on record that think it's a great idea and others who don't. So there's no unanimous consent in that regard. We'll go to Mr. Housefather.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. And the last we chatted, we were about to go to APAC in Washington in March, and the whole world changed. And you probably made a very wise decision in deciding to stay home. At the time, you were probably a couple of weeks ahead of everybody else, and I congratulate you for that. And I congratulate you on being chair of this committee. You're always a very dignified and a very fair member, and I appreciate you chairing this committee, and I appreciate the opportunity to intervene and be part of this committee in this important discussion. J'aimerais aussi dire que j'étais très
find a solution, maybe even an offline solution. Let's adjourn the meeting and let's find another way to discuss this amongst ourselves and find a solution. Let's not stay here all night.
happening, Mr. Chairman. I move that this meeting do adjourn.
A motion has been put on the floor for the adjournment of the
Recorded vote, please, Chair.
Yes, we'll just be asking the clerk to take over that function. We've just been changing clerks, by the way, colleagues, to give our permanent clerk a break. So and this happened right in the transition. So if you just wait for a second, and we'll get to that vote, okay?
Hello, everyone. It's Amy Belmore, filling in for Miriam Burke, your clerk. So if you will please forgive me, this could take just a moment with all of the substitutions. Okay, so I have recorded division on the motion to adjourn the meeting. Going to call.
That is correct, Clerk.
Thank you. Dong Han,
Yes.
is that yes to adjourn the debate?
Yes to adjourn the debate. The
Thank you.
meeting.
The meeting, I believe.
The meeting. Sorry. Yes, the meeting. Is Mr. Angus in for Greg Fergus? Is that?
No, it's me for Greg Fergus, Anthony Housefather.
Oh, Mr. Housefather, I apologize. Mr. Housefather?
I vote yes.
Mr. Join? Is Mr. Join still in for?
Oui, je vote pour la motion.
I vote yes.
Okay, Ms. Shanahan?
I vote yes.
Mr. Sabaro?
No, it's Mr. Sims. I think I'm
Sims.
in for Mr. Sabaro.
Thank you. Apologize, sir.
That's okay, and I vote in favor. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Mr. Barrett?
I vote nay against adjourning the meeting.
Okay. Mr. Gould?
Je vote non.
My vote is nay.
Mr. Warkington?
I vote against the cover-up.
Madame Gaudreau?
Ms. Gaudreau. Inaudible.
And Mr. Angus, if you are there.
I am here for Mr. Angus, and I'm voting no.
Thank you, sir. So that's 5 to 5.
Thank you, Clerk. As a tradition of the chair is to maintain status quo, and so we will continue with the debate.
Thank you.
And we have great poll numbers, although, you see a lot of the fake poll numbers. They'll do anything they can. They're called suppression polls. Yeah, there they go. Look at the red lights. They start to go off as I start to point. In one way they want the ratings, in another way they don't want to have the ratings, and you're telling CNN that they're a fraud in their broadcasting.